I figured I'd make a quick part two to the video that I just put up about the lessons I learned from Dan Bolton's Money Codes course and just the importance of practicing gratitude. And I really don't want to come across as some new age hippie guru because you've heard of this stuff so many times. But once you actually start to do it, and it isn't out of your reach. Literally anyone can do it. You can take a moment right now to pause the video and just think of 3 things that you're thankful or grateful for. Quite easy. Even right now, I'm grateful for the fact that I have this really cool setup now, and I can record this video so that all of you can enjoy it. I'm grateful for the fact that I have an internet connection and that I'm even able to propagate this message and share it with you. I'm grateful that just now I had a class teaching a little bit of English to some Chinese kids where I get paid directly. It's not ambiguous, it's not commission only like sales is, where sales is usually, where if you don't perform, if you don't close, you don't get paid. Excuse me. Most recently, you probably want to know a little bit about what's going on with me in my life. And you guys follow me probably because you're interested in living abroad, because you're interested in making money online, all this kind of stuff. Well, recently something that happened is I started doing sales on a couple of different offers. And so in the beginning of March, kind of tail end of February, I was on an offer selling a marriage counseling program, marriage coaching program to men, typically between the ages of 35 to 65, I would say, maybe 70. 70 was the oldest that I got. And they're typically on the brink of divorce, or they're in a sexless marriage, or they're just overall not satisfied, but they want to save their marriage. And it was not my favorite. I thought it would be at first. I thought, okay, this shouldn't be too hard. But unfortunately, man, there are a lot of guys out there, and it's so strange. It's so strange to observe this. There's a lot of guys out there who actually don't have much fight in them, much testosterone, much dog to just scrap things out. They're just like, they're just passive. They've drank so much alcohol, they've smoked so much pot, they've jacked off to porn and OnlyFans so many times now that they're just like a limp wiener. You know, they have zero fucking willpower to actually get some goddamn help and fix their freaking problem. And look, at the end of the day, I know that not everyone is going to want to invest a few $1,000s into something like that, especially if it's with someone who's just put up a couple of videos on the internet and doesn't have some kind of accreditation behind their name, right? A lot of people still, unfortunately, want to stick with the old system of going to an accredited expert for advice and help on some specific area. And I'm not going to knock them in general, because there's definitely people in every profession, every industry, who've really honed in on their craft, who have taken the time to really study, maybe even produce some of their own works, of their own experiments and hypotheses and theories and what have you. They've contributed to that field. But for the most part, in a lot of cases, I would argue that a lot of people are extremely incompetent, but they're still able to generate business and get a clientele simply because of their accreditation, their diploma, degree, whatever it is. Whatever name is written on that piece of paper that is posted up on their wall and on their website or what have you, if they even have one. A lot of people will simply automatically trust that. And you know what? That can be beneficial, because human beings are wired to pick up on specific signals quickly, because it takes a lot of brain power to process every single thing in our environment that is happening to us on a daily basis in order to ensure our survival. And so the brain will look for shortcuts to quickly determine if something or someone is worth trusting or not. And so, for example, even just right now, me wearing this collared shirt, a lot of people will see this and they'll tune in just because of that. They'll tune in because of the background. They'll tune in because of the glasses. They'll tune in because of the fact that, we can count down the list all sorts of different attributes that I have, being a white man, being a male, being around the age of 30, being a Canadian, being a native English speaker. People will pick up on those things. If I was an Indian speaking Hindi and I'm based in New Delhi or something, and I have horrible video quality and I have a bunch of dung heaps in the background and people washing their laundry in a dirty, contaminated river, depending on the subject matter, I might get some views, but I also might not, because it's completely irrelevant to you on all sorts of different levels. I want to mention one last little thing here. A realization I had today as I was picking up my laundry and taking it back home. Business and making money is essentially about producing value and helping people. You pay money for things that you know will bring you value, or that you're pretty sure will bring you value. That's like a universal principle. You go to not the Radio Shack, but T-Mobile, right, that's what they have in the United States, the T-Mobile shop with all the cell phones. And you get the iPhone and you get on a plan for 12 months, and you do so and agree to pay that $50 or $100, $150 monthly bill, because you're pretty sure that phone is going to provide a certain amount of value to you, beyond even just the fact that it's capable of sending messages and making phone calls, which is like the base level. But it's an iPhone. It's a status symbol. It just means, okay, I got some money. Not always. We know a lot of broke, dumb people who spend their money on iPhones and they're still broke, which is quite silly to me. Anyways, the point being is, part of the work, and I didn't really realize this before, of getting into entrepreneurship is not even the fulfillment of the service or the product. It's more finding the people who have the problem or have the need and want, desire to pay money to get the thing that you're giving them. There's a lot of people out there. Not all of them are going to be in your market. Not all of those people are going to want to pay you money for the thing that you're selling them. And even fewer of them are going to want to pay a fairly high price in order to get the thing that is going to solve their problem or give them satisfaction and of that brief fleeting desire. There's hardly anyone, I'm not going to say hardly anyone, but there's far fewer people in Canada, for example, who would want to buy English language teaching service from someone who's unqualified like me, because I don't have a university degree, as opposed to in China, where the fact that I don't have some kind of accreditation is easily overlooked because of the value that I bring to the table that isn't necessarily validated by some kind of institutional accreditation. And so it is much easier to find people who will pay me money in that market than it will be in Canada. Although you can do this in Canada. You can actually teach English to foreigners and still make some money doing this. Not an insane amount. At least not that I can see. Perhaps I'm wrong. Perhaps if you're really at the top of the totem pole and you have some kind of program that is mandated by the government, which is happening a lot in Canada now, by the way, you're probably going to make some money because you're going to have a constant guaranteed influx of clients, and they don't pay you. They don't have to pay you. The government pays you. Anyways, getting off on a tangent here. If you haven't already figured it out, I'm not the biggest fan of that. I don't want to make this boring. I know some of you will just immediately click off when you hear me take a pause, right? And breathe. Or have a drink of water. That's one of the most important things you can do during your day. Take a pause and just breathe. We're being attacked on all sorts of different fronts every single day, especially, unfortunately, if you live in the Western world, like the United States and Canada. Every single waking hour of your day, you are having to confront other entities that are trying to suck your energy out of you, the food that you eat, the media that you listen to, either voluntarily or just because of being in a specific place, the air you breathe, the water that you drink, the chemicals in your clothes, the media that you see on this screen, on social media platforms. Every single corner you turn, there's different entities trying to rob you of your energy, rob you of your focus, rob you of your humanity. Now that's a pretty grim argument to make, isn't it? Grim claim to make. Like, all these things are robbing you? Come on, what are you talking about? Well, we were never designed for it. We were never designed to have to deal with all of that. Our minds, our bodies, everything, we're adapted to being hunter-gatherers, being nomadic, moving from place to place. So much of our modern style of living is actually so out of sync and unnatural. And you can argue that whatever is unnatural, that there are some unnatural things that are actually quite good. Artificial light is pretty damn good. Okay, we would not be where we are without artificial light. Internet is pretty unnatural. Being able to talk on a phone, on a piece of plastic and metal, to another person who might be on another continent and hear their exact reactions and even see them now in real time, is not natural. But it is an absolutely tremendous, fantastic achievement that we take for granted. I'm kind of getting off on a tangent. I'm sorry. I'm kind of going to come back to right to the first thing I was going to say. You got to help people. You got to want to focus on how to help those people better. Once you find the people who have the problem that you know you can help them with, and that are willing to pay you quite a decent amount of money to help them with that problem, it can be pretty easy to find more people who will do that, because now you know what to look for. Now you know what you want to avoid as well. The more experience you get with working with different people, you finally kind of understand, okay, I can already spot red flags a mile away, and someone else might be completely fine with it. They'll continue to work with that person. In fact, they'll get along great with them, but you, no. And other people might criticize you, and they might think less of you. They might see you as, why not? What's wrong with it? And you should always trust your gut on this kind of thing. You should always trust your instinct. Don't go out and do something to make money just because it makes money. I understand that we can fall on really hard and desperate times sometimes, but even then, if you lost all your money right now, if you were knee-deep in debt, if you lost all your family, like you had absolutely nothing, would you go and prostitute yourself on the street? Like, it really takes falling fairly far down to reach that level of just absolute lack of self-respect. And not just in terms of your bodily autonomy, but lack of self-respect for your innate talents and skills and intelligence. The things that you wield that are universally applicable to whatever endeavor or task you have before you. Because how can you explain that there's so many people out there who might lose some money, might fall on hard times, they get sick, their family needs some help, and all of a sudden, whatever they thought was comfortable, working that regular job, all of a sudden it's not doing it. Like you need to get up your ass and do something different now. You need to learn business, you need to get out there, you need to promote yourself, you need to believe that you are worthy for people to pay money to so that you can help them with a certain service or a product or something like that. Self-belief plays an absolutely, undoubtedly gigantic role in how much money you're going to end up making. You don't have to be the most self-confident, self-assured, or even a fucking douchebag or arrogant piece of shit. Well, you do need to believe that you can spot a specific problem that a person has and feel damn confident that if you got in front of them, you start to discuss the problem with them, not only would you be able to solve the problem, but they would be willing to allow you to come in and solve the problem, and they would be willing to invest in themselves, invest in you in order to make that a reality. That is a power that no one can really take away from you until the market shifts in some way. If you learned in the 90s, for example, how to repair a VCR machine, well, you could have been fantastic at that, but unfortunately, once DVD really became mainstream in around 2003, 2004, well, maybe your skills can serve a purpose in a sense of repairing antiques, or there might be the odd, if you're perhaps one of the only remaining VCR machine repair shops in the United States and Canada, then you might actually still be able to stay open, because it's such a niche thing. If you have 3, 4, 5 people coming in every single day of the year on average, that's still relatively a tiny amount of the population that still cares enough to invest to have their VCR. You get what I mean. I'm not going to, you get it. So I'm not the expert on this yet, but I'm learning. And guys, do it sooner than later. Don't make the same mistake I did of getting trapped in this analysis paralysis. It's really easier said than done. But once you break the process of building a client-centered internet-based business down to its very bare nuts and bolts, that's when it actually starts to get much, much easier, because you identify that the steps are so asininely easy and simple that you can just execute on them. You don't have to be smart. Like, it doesn't matter. This is so important, and I'm going to ruffle some feathers. I know it was tough for me. It doesn't matter how smart you think you are. It doesn't matter how skilled you think you are overall, like as a person. If you are not smart and skilled in a specific method of solving a person's problem, to the point where you can command a high price for it, and you know how to target that market and go work with them often and deliver great results, if you are not able to develop the skills and the smarts for something like that, whether it's for an employer, whether it's as a self-employed independent contractor, whatever, then it doesn't matter, again, how book smart you are, how well-read, cultured, all this stuff. That stuff is great. I think that's extremely important, and it's actually lacking a lot nowadays. A lot of people are not putting a lot of importance on that, and understandably, in a lot of cases, because they don't have the mental energy and the physical energy left at the end of the day after all of the work that they're doing, whatever it may be, to endeavor to continue to improve in some way. They simply don't have it. And so, unfortunately, they tend to get stuck where they are. That's really, really sad that happens. But I don't want people to be stuck. I've been stuck, and it sucks. And I hated it so much that I did what I had to do to get the hell out of there and learn different things and study different things, even at the age of 31, which isn't old by any means. There's still people who are 51, 61 going to seminars and investing in themselves and getting coaching, because 100%, you're not going, it's the last thing. When it comes to coaching and gurus and consultants and what have you, what you want to avoid is the people who are general and who are not giving you a straight path to a specific skill. Or a set of specific skills. You don't want to deal with someone who's just very vague about how you're going to achieve something. Okay? Someone says, hey, I'm going to teach you how to build a social media marketing business. Well, how are you going to do that? Oh, well, I'm going to tell you how to, talk to clients and give you a sales script. Like, that's not enough. You have to generate the call first. I need to know all of that. I need to know that you're legit and you actually know what the steps are. Okay? That's the key. You need to know the steps, and a lot of people will avoid that. They'll think it's too much work, and it can be a lot of work. You could talk to 10, 20, 50, 100 business owners before you finally land something. Land a clear problem that you can come in and actually help them with. Or at least try and help them with. That's the last thing. I'm really getting off on a tangent. I hope you like my video.